There was a moment, not long ago, when my kitchen started to feel like a chore instead of a place I wanted to be. The recipes were either too bland to be worth the effort, or so complicated that I'd finished dinner already tired. And then, one evening, I went back to a flavor that feels like Brazil itself when it wants to comfort you, buy in Moqueca. Warm steam rising from the pot, the scent of peppers and cilantro in the air, that unmistakable golden glow of dendê oil turning everything vibrant. It didn't just feed me. It rescued my routine. Moqueca from Bahia isn't just a seafood stew. It carries a history you can taste. It comes from Afro-Brazilian tradition, from the coast where food is memory, celebration, and care all at once. When the coconut milk meets dendê, it's not subtle. It's confident. It's sunny. It's the kind of dish that makes you slow down because your senses want to pay attention. Today I'm taking you with me, step by step, through an authentic Moqueca baiana you can actually make at home without fear. We're talking fresh fish like sea bass or mahi-mahi, shrimp if you want that extra layer of sweetness, coconut milk, dendê oil, and the classic trio of tomatoes, onions, and bell peppers, all melting into something that smells like a seaside kitchen. And yes, plenty of fresh cilantro at the end, because Moqueca should feel alive. Here's the technique that changed everything for me, and it's so simple it almost sounds like advice your grandmother would give you: don't overstir. Let it cook. Let the flavors layer. Let the fish stay tender, like it's supposed to. This is one of those recipes where respecting the process makes you look like you have years of experience. If you're already imagining that first spoonful, give this video a like so more people can find a taste of Bahia too. And tell me in the comments, what's your biggest curiosity about Brazil? In a second, I'll show you exactly what to buy, what to prep, and how to build that aroma from the very first slice of onion. I remember the exact moment I realized my kitchen didn't need more complicated recipes, it needed a pulse. I had been cooking on autopilot, everything tasting fine. Not bad, just forgettable. Then I tasted a real Moqueca in Bahia and it was like the whole dish spoke back. Warmth, color, that gentle heat in the background, and a perfume that clung to the air in the best way. So today, let's build that feeling from the very first step, because Moqueca is less about rushing and more about respecting layers. Start with fresh fish, something firm like sea bass or mahi-mahi, cut into generous pieces. Add shrimp too if you want that extra sweetness. Now, here's where the redemption starts: season with intention. Salt, black pepper, and a squeeze of lime to wake everything up. A little garlic, not to overpower, but to set a base. Let it sit while you prep the vegetables, and you'll notice the fish already changing, tightening slightly, becoming ready to hold its shape. In the pan, you're not making a stew, you're building a landscape. Onions first, then sliced bell peppers in bright colors, then tomatoes. When that hits the heat, it's almost cinematic: the sizzle, the steam, the smell turning from sharp to sweet. Cilantro comes in like a breeze at the end, but not yet. Not yet. And here's my quiet question for you, before we go further: have you ever cooked a dish that instantly transported you somewhere else? If you're enjoying this kind of Brazilian kitchen story, give the video a like, and stick with me by subscribing, because we're keeping these traditions alive in a way that actually fits real life. Now, the soul of Bahia enters: coconut milk and dendê oil. The coconut milk softens everything, but the dendê is the identity. It turns the broth golden, deep, unmistakable. And when you lay the fish on top, you do something that changed everything for me: you stop stirring. You let it cook quietly, so the flavors rise in waves and the fish stays tender, not broken apart. In the next part, I'll show you exactly how to control the heat, how long to simmer, and the moment you'll know it's ready just by the aroma. Before we even touch the heat, this is where the routine starts to change, in the prep. I used to rush this part, thinking the magic happened only in the pot. But Moqueca asks for a little patience up front, and then it rewards you with calm later. I take the fish fillets, something firm like sea bass or mahi-mahi, and I cut them into generous pieces, not tiny cubes. You want them to stay proud in the broth, not disappear. Then comes the simple seasoning that sets the tone: salt, black pepper, and lime. The lime isn't there to cook the fish, just to wake it up. I let it rest while I prep everything else, and the kitchen already smells brighter, cleaner, like you opened a window near the ocean. Now the colors. Onions sliced into half moons, tomatoes cut thick so they don't melt too fast, and bell peppers in red, yellow, and green, because Moqueca isn't supposed to look shy. And then cilantro, a big handful. If cilantro is controversial in your house, I get it, but in Bahia it's part of the soul of the dish. You can go lighter, but don't skip it completely. This is one of those moments where tradition tastes like confidence. In a wide pot, I start with a little oil just to soften the onions. Not browning, just letting them turn translucent and sweet. You can almost hear the shift from weekday cooking to something special. Then I add the tomatoes and peppers, and I let them sit. Not stirring constantly. Just letting the heat do its work, letting the layers build. Here's where I want you to pause with me for a second. If you're enjoying this kind of cooking that feels simple but meaningful, tap like so I know to bring more Brazilian classics to the channel. And tell me, what's your biggest curiosity about Brazil? Food, music, the beaches, the history, anything. Okay, now we're ready for the ingredients that make people lean in: coconut milk and dendê oil. The second the dendê touches the warm pot, the aroma changes completely, deeper, golden, unmistakably Bahian. And in the next step, we're going to lay the fish in like a promise and let it cook without breaking it apart. Now the pan is warm, and you can feel the kitchen shifting from just another dinner to something with purpose. I lower the heat to medium and add a spoonful of dendê oil. The color hits the bottom of the pot like a small sunrise, and that scent, deep palm-rich, unmistakably Bahian, fills the air in a way olive oil never could. If you've never cooked with dendê before, don't be intimidated. Think of it as the dish's signature, not the whole song. Just enough to perfume everything. In go the onions first, and I listen for that soft sizzle that says, you're on the right track. Then the bell peppers, red, yellow, and green, follow like confetti, and the tomatoes slide in after, releasing their juice. I add a pinch of salt and let the vegetables sweat, not rush. This is where a lot of people overwork it, stirring and stirring like they're afraid the pot will judge them. But Moqueca rewards calm. I move things gently, just to coat and warm, then I let the steam do the talking. Here comes the moment that rescued my routine, layering without fighting it. I nestle the fish pieces into the softened vegetables, like placing something fragile into a safe bed. Then I scatter the shrimp around, not on top like decoration, but as part of the story. I pour in the coconut milk slowly, watching it turn the colors into a creamy sunset. A little more dendê goes in, and the surface gleams. Fresh cilantro follows, bright and green, and the aroma suddenly feels like it has a memory, like Bahia itself stepped into the room. And then, the technique that changes everything, I stop stirring. I cover the pot and let it simmer. The fish stays tender because I'm not breaking it apart. The flavors build in layers because I'm not scrambling them into one flat note. While it cooks, I think about how nourishing this can be too: omega-3s from the fish, the good fats from coconut, comfort that doesn't feel heavy. If this is making you hungry, give the video a quick like so I know you want more Brazilian classics like this. And tell me, what's your biggest curiosity about Brazil? In a minute, I'll show you exactly how to check the doneness without touching the fish too much and the final finishing touches that make it taste truly authentic. Now comes the part that used to ruin my confidence: cooking it without breaking it. The heat is at medium, the clay pot is warm, and you can already hear the gentle sizzle when the first layer hits the bottom. I start with a bed of onions, then tomatoes, then those bright peppers, like a stained glass window inside the pot. On top of that, the fish goes in carefully, pieces nestled instead of tossed. Shrimp follow, not dumped, just placed like they belong there. It sounds dramatic, but this is where Moqueca teaches you patience. I pour in the coconut milk and, instantly, the whole kitchen changes. The steam turns sweet and tropical, and it feels like you opened a door to Bahia without leaving your stove. Then the dendê oil goes in, and that's the moment the color deepens into a golden orange glow that looks almost unreal. If you've never cooked with dendê before, you'll notice it right away: it's not shy. It's warm, nutty, and unmistakably Afro-Brazilian. It's history you can smell. Here's the technique that rescued my routine: don't overstir. I used to chase perfection with a spoon, and all I got was broken fish and a cloudy broth. Now I do the opposite. I let it simmer and I respect the layers. If I need to move things, I hold the pot handles and gently shake it, just enough to bait the fish without tearing it. I cover it and let the flavors do what they were meant to do, slowly, confidently. After about 10 to 15 minutes, I lift the lid and the surface is glossy, the peppers are softer but still bright, and the fish is opaque and tender. I add fresh cilantro right at the end so it stays alive, that green perfume rising with the steam. And yes, this is comforting, but it can also be nourishing, omega-3s from the fish, and satisfying fats from coconut milk that make the whole dish feel complete. If you're enjoying this kind of recipe that's simple but soulful, give the video a like. And tell me in the comments, what's your biggest curiosity about Brazil? Because in a second, I'm going to show you the final check for seasoning and the exact way I serve it so it tastes like Bahia at the table. And then you lift the lid, and the first thing that hits you isn't even the sight, it's the aroma. That warm, tropical breath of coconut milk meeting the deep, almost toasted perfume of dendê oil, with cilantro floating on top like a green promise. The colors look like Bahia on a plate, reds and yellows from the peppers, the softened tomatoes, the onions turn sweet and glossy. The fish is still in clean, tender pieces, and the shrimp have that perfect coral curve. This is the moment that taught me something simple: good food doesn't need chaos. It needs respect. I like to turn the heat off and let the pot rest for a minute, just to let everything settle. And I can almost hear an old kitchen voice in my head, calm and firm, saying, "Now you don't stir. Now you let it be." When you serve it, use a spoon and slide underneath, bringing up the broth and the fish together, like you're lifting something delicate. I always add a final shower of cilantro right at the end, and if I'm feeling nostalgic, a squeeze of lime to brighten the whole thing without stealing its soul. At the table, Moqueca does something special. It slows people down. The first bite is silky and fragrant, and you taste layers instead of loudness: the sea, the coconut, the gentle heat, the peppers sweetened by time. It feels comforting, but also alive. And yes, it can be nourishing, too. You're getting those omega-3s from the fish, and the satisfying, steady richness of coconut and dendê, the kind of fats that make a meal feel complete instead of heavy. This dish rescued my routine because it brought me back to a simpler confidence: one pot, honest ingredients, and patience. If you make it, tell me how it went, and what fish you used. And I want to ask you something: what's your biggest curiosity about Brazil? If you enjoy traveling to Bahia with me through flavor, leave a like, and subscribe so we can keep cooking our way through Brazil, one story-filled recipe at a time.